Okay, boxing fans, right now I'm going to do both post-fights. Now I'm going to do Salido versus Juanma, and I'm going to do Moses versus Burns as well. First we're going to start with Juanma. Obviously he came out and tried to box. Yeah, he didn't do too well, I didn't think. He was probably losing most rounds. You see, he was in Puerto Rico, so somehow he was getting the rounds, which is, it's alright if you can do it, but in reality, you know, I thought he was losing most rounds because he didn't look comfortable boxing. It's because he doesn't box very well, even though he's a boxer. He's more of a brawler, you know. He just wasn't good enough on the night for me. What else was going to say? Salido obviously came forward very fast. He was putting on the pressure. He was mixing it up a lot, hitting from body to head. He switched it around every now and again and did a bit of boxing. He kept Juanma guessing. Sometimes Juanma made some good shots, sometimes he didn't. The better part of the fight for Juanma was actually later on in the round, where he was actually taking the fight to Salido and he was standing his ground and they were trading shots. They were the rounds that were more clearly of mine given to Juanma over Salido. Obviously there was a knockdown, flash knockdown on Salido by Juanma. Juanma, he was coming inside, the guy was coming inside, he caught him with a hook on the inside and he went down. Flash knockdown, he got up, seemed unhurt by the whole thing. Alright, get on with it. But then, this is one of my main problems, you know. You'd think even after flash knockdown there'd be some kind of a, there'd be something wrong with that, you know. It'll take him a few seconds or something. He didn't. He come straight out, and he was fighting at a more ferocious rate than when he was just normally fighting. When he was just winning the fight, he was fighting more ferociously when he was apparently hurt. You know, maybe it was the wounded lion, you know, thing. The wounded lion is most dangerous before it dies. Maybe that's what it was, and that's what it could have been. You never know. It could have been that he was taking something. You know, I don't want to take the fight away from him, but you know, once a cheat, always a cheat in my mind. You know, I'm going to point out a few things about that later. Anyway, later on he comes back into the fight. The trading shots. Juanma's getting up and down. Neither of them is taking charge of the fight in these rounds towards the end. But then Juanma takes 3 or 4 full shots, and one of them's an uppercut. And you know, just looking at uppercuts sometimes, when you take an uppercut, the head bounces back. He went down. Now, biggest thing, I would have had no problem, right? No problem at all letting him carry on if he took his time getting up. But he got up so quickly. His legs didn't know where he was. He didn't give himself the time. The referee stopped the fight. He made the count. He went, come forward. He was a bit staggery still. The referee stopped the fight. No. You see, I'm on the fence, and I'm happy being up here on this fence on this one, because I can see for a reason that it would be nice to let that fight go on. Fight of the year candidate. Let it go on. If he goes down, Salido again, call it off. You know, Salido gets his knockout. Everything's fine. If Juanma fights through the round and he makes it to the end of the round, it was a good decision not stopping the fight. Overall, what would have happened? I'm on the fence. I can understand both ways. I'd probably stop the fight, thinking about it more and more, but you never know. Yeah, we'll go with that. After the fight, obviously, Juanma was he was a dick, wasn't he? He was a total dick, you know. You can't go around bashing referees like that. You know, it may be true, maybe he did have a bit of money on the side of it, but he might not have, you know. You can't go around saying that with no evidence. Definitely cannot. You know, imagine if someone came out and said, Juanma's a paedophile. You know, he touches kids. What proof have you got? None. None. Exactly. So, I think Juanma really let himself down in that part of the fight. Okay, just before I talk about where these guys are going to go from here, I'm just going to quickly talk about the possibility of steroids with Orlando Salido. Obviously, he's failed the drug test before. He had nandrolone in his system, which is actually, it's a bodybuilder's choice steroid, to be fair to him. He knows his shit if he's going to use that. It's good for strength, adding strength to your game. It's good for losing body fat, adding muscle. It's good for numerous different things, you know. And I think he did get caught with it. It can get produced in your body normally. However, he got caught with it, meaning he had a lot higher than you normally would in your body system. You see, he would have had in the system. What they do is, the drug testing system, that is, they have like a gap so that you can say, oh well, you had some in your system, but it wasn't above this thing, therefore you weren't adding it to your body synthetically. You see, it was above that system, so you know he must have been adding it synthetically. Another, I'm gonna give you a cross-sport comparison. Alberto Contador, right? Obviously the Tour de France winner. He was caught with a small amount of a substance in his system. He said it got in his system from contaminated meat. However, when you add the shit up, no, it was not, right? The thing he took was something that just happens to be what you take if you've got something like asthma, or basically anything that will stop you breathing in a long-term race. Now, considering he's a long-distance bike rider, I think something like that would be very beneficial to him in his system, and it only lasts in your system for 32 hours. The one Salido took in the system has a half-life of 3 to 6 weeks. So that means they could have said it should be out of your system by this point, therefore we can do the drug test at that point, and therefore if there was just a minute amount in, he would have still got caught with it. Do you see where I'm going with this? Yeah. So I believe he did, and the only question for me is basically, once a cheat, always a cheat. Is that true? And I believe it is, because like I said, I take steroids, and the first time I ever took them, I was saying I'm only going to do it once, see what it's like, never do it again, do it the old-fashioned hard way. And you know something, it don't work like that. Once you see the results, you always go back. It's like heroin. You always go back. They know they've got you hooked. I'm not calling the man a cheat. I'm just saying it's something to consider. You know, make your own mind up if he is or if he's not. The only thing I'm going to say is, you know, he does have a average record when you look at it. Except now he's went from being a guy who was just average, just a guy in the division, to now being the number one in the division, and you've also failed to drug test somewhere down that line. So if you think about it and you say that was, you know, if you compare it to Manny Pacquiao, or you compare that to Floyd Mayweather, or anyone else, Carl Froch, Lucien Boutet, any one of those guys who call themselves the best in the division, you know, if they failed a drug test, the world will be all over them right now. He seems to have got a very free pass from this. He's got a free pass in my mind. Where do they go now? Well, you see, I don't really know, to be honest. Juanma, they're gonna try and set up the third fight, I think, you know, but I don't think that's worth it for them. I think they should move Juanma up. There's fights he can have at super featherweight. Oh, what about Salido? Where does he go? You see, this is the thing, because there'll be a lot of people who won't mind fighting him, and if you look at the featherweight division, it's pretty average, you know. The guy that people will be wanting to fight would be Miguel Angel Garcia from the USA. He's the one who's going to be coming through, and I assume that they'll try and face him against Salido if he's good enough. Another guy to watch would be Johnny Gonzalez, maybe them two fight, or maybe even Chris John. I'd like to see Chris John in there. You know, he's never had he's had a lot of fights. He's won some, drawn some. He's never lost. He probably deserves a big shot. Maybe I'd like to see them fight. Okay, now moving on. Now we're talking about Ricky Burns versus Paulos Moses. And obviously, if you don't already know, Ricky Burns won a 12-round unanimous decision. One judge gave the other guy 2 rounds. Another guy gave Moses 1 round, and the other judge gave Moses 0 rounds. And that's pretty much how it was in reality. In reality, it was a glorified sparring session. Problem, yeah, once again, Ricky Burns has shown he has absolutely no power whatsoever. He cannot finish a fight, and that would be the most telling thing in this division that he's fighting. If he faces against any better opposition, then anyone with a bit of power will not be afraid to get up in his face, and he's not got the power to keep them off him. Thing but with Michael Katsidis in his last fight, Michael Katsidis is a brilliant guy. However, and this is the truth, he is not the same guy he used to be. He is past it, isn't he? So where does Ricky Burns go next? Well, there's only one fight I can see that's well worth it, and that is Ricky Burns versus Kevin Mitchell. And I see this fight as the one that pretty much will happen. And if you're wondering why, well, Ricky Burns, number 1, is a WBO champion, and who is he promoted by? Oh, sorry, WBO interim champion. And who is he promoted by? Frank Warren. Kevin Mitchell is a former interim champion, held something by the WBO. He also is promoted by Frank Warren. Brilliant. They both, I don't think they particularly like each other. They both said they'd like to fight, And either way, the winner of this fight is Frank Warren, because he makes a whole load of money. He gets an all-British fight. It'll be all over TV. And most importantly, he walks in with 2 fighters, walks out with a real contender. I want to say a real contender. The real contender will hold that WBO interim title, and Juan Manuel Lopez has not actually defended either of his titles more recently, and therefore will be having to drop them sooner or later. And if he doesn't, well, you got to wonder, people who don't do their mandatories, how do they get away with it sometimes? And Juan Manuel Lopez seems to be one of those guys who just never fights his mandatory fighters, considering he's not actually fought since the Manny Pacquiao fight, which we're coming up to now, was what, 6-7 months ago? Or maybe, is that right? 6-7 months ago, yeah? Yeah. And he's not defended it, he's not had a fight or defended his title since. Maybe he should, or maybe he should actually declare what weight limit he's fighting in. Maybe, yeah. So either way, the winner of that will probably be the WBO lightweight champion. And I think that'll be a good fight. Either way, there's a champion, and they're going to be promoted by Frank Warren. So I think that's a big win for him. Okay, I'm just going to do the shout-outs now, and the first shout-out is going to Slideways100, who said not only is he going to beat Juan Manuel Lopez, Salido is not only going to do that, he's going to stop him. So shout out to Slideways100. Who else has done this one correct? Scorpio11477 also said Salido KO. He got it in round 9. It was in round 10. Unlucky, mate. Better luck next time. You might get it exact. Another one, Blue Giant. He thinks Salido. And he said by stoppage. So he got that one right. Okay, that's good. Another guy, Ali Ryder 619. Oh no, he didn't. He got it the wrong way around. He got Lopez by 10th round KO. Unlucky, mate. And 1CWA got it Salido by late stoppage. He didn't specify which round, but he got the stoppage. So nice one to you. Shout out and good luck with next week's predictions. Obviously, always leave your prediction in the comment section for a post-fight shout out.